If you think Homer is just an idiot who constantly gets into trouble, get ready to change your mind, because throughout the more than 700 episodes of The Simpsons, Homer has been able to do a lot of smart things. Obviously, fewer than the idiotic things, but the fact is that sometimes Homer surprises everyone and out of nowhere does something brilliant. And that's why in today's video, we're going to take a look at the smartest things Homer has done. So, leave a like and subscribe to the channel because there's always a new video of The Simpsons coming out, and you don't want to miss it, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but when he wants to, Homer can be smart, and we saw this perfectly in episode 13 of season 20, where, after going out with Meg and Santa's little helper to buy rat poison, Homer ends up having an accident. To get back home, he needed to use a boat to cross a river. But there was a small problem. The boat couldn't carry all of them together. So, Homer finds himself in a big dilemma. He needed to cross the river with Meg, the dog, and the poison, but could only take one at a time. Plus, he couldn't leave Meg alone with the poison, nor could he leave the dog alone with Meg. A very well-known dilemma, one you've probably heard something similar somewhere. And with few options, Homer was forced to rely on his brain to get out of this mess. The amazing thing is that he succeeds. And before I tell you what he did, tell me, if you were in Homer's situation, would you be able to solve that dilemma or not? Think about it and then let me know in the comments because I want to know. But the truth is that, using drawings to reason better, Homer concludes that the best thing to do first was to cross the river with Meg, leaving the dog and the poison behind. Then he would come back alone, grab the poison, and leave the dog behind. After that, he would leave the poison on the other side of the river, take Meg again, and come back. Then he would leave Meg alone and take the dog. And finally, he would return to get Meg and… problem solved. Did you get the reasoning? Because if you didn't, that means you're dumber than Homer, as his reasoning was spot on. But as good as his plan was, it didn't go as planned. And do you know why? The dog knew how to swim. Were you paying attention? We saw another of Homer's brilliant moves in the third episode of season 11, where he volunteers to be a chaperone on a school trip. Very surprised by this, Lisa asks her dad how he managed to get permission to skip work, and Homer tells the girl not to worry because he's already taken care of everything. And do you know what this genius did? He simply built a double and left him in his place at the plant. Check it out. I work hard to make money. I work hard to make money. What beautiful money! But why was this genius? Simply because the double managed to fool Mr. Burns, who, captivated by his smile and the catchy music, simply promoted Homer to an executive position. Look at the office he got. And the crazy part is that someone had to take the double there. So, either Homer tricked more people, or people just didn't want to go against Mr. Burns' orders. But, as usual, things didn't end well, and the recorder simply exploded and set everything on fire. In episode 15 of season 28, trying to take advantage, Bart starts pretending he's traumatized, and thus prevents Homer and Marge from having intimacy. Sexually frustrated, Homer decides to do the unthinkable, go to work earlier, and with a lot of time left, he even starts reading the nuclear reactor safety manual. Quite an achievement considering it's Homer. But the truth is that after all this, he discovers he could convert all his sexual frustration into energy to fuel his brain. And overnight, Homer completely changes. He becomes a great father, husband, and son, and even becomes one of the best employees at the plant, as all his frustration is being converted into productive ideas to do his job and increase the plant's efficiency. Basically, the lack of sex had turned Homer into a genius. Men have done incredible things when they've been denied intimacy. You don't name a company like Microsoft when you're in the zone. Now, in the second episode of season 10, after hearing on the radio that the average life expectancy for a common man was 76.2 years, Homer panics because he's 38 years old. In other words, according to the statistics, he was exactly halfway through his life. And because of that, wanting to do something that mattered in the years he had left, Homer decides to study. Yes, he simply dives straight into books and starts gaining knowledge. And in the middle of it, he discovers Thomas Edison and becomes fascinated by the guy's inventions. That's why he studies so much about Edison's life that he becomes a great expert on the inventor's life. And when it comes to Homer, that alone could be considered something smart. But wanting to be more like Thomas Edison, Homer decides to become an inventor and creates a few things that are either brilliant or very stupid. First, he developed the electric hammer, which would be useful if Homer hadn't put too much power into it. Then we have the alarm, which made an extremely annoying sound to show that everything was fine. After that, we have a product to help women apply makeup faster, a makeup gun, where Homer basically shot women in the face. Dad, women don't like getting shot in the face. Women will like whatever I tell them to like. Hold on, the inventions aren't over. Next, we have a revolutionary product that would make life easier for every lazy man: the slanted toilet chair. An armchair with a hole in the middle for people to do their business while watching TV. And somehow, Homer even made the flush system for it. So, some knowledge was needed to make that. And finally, we had the best invention of all: an extra pair of legs to prevent people from falling out of chairs. A very useful invention for those who like to lean on chairs. But what do you think? Excluding the last chair invention, do you think any of Homer's other inventions were brilliant or just a bunch of stupid stuff? Let me know in the comments because I want to know. And as we're talking about Homer's smart moments, we can't forget the classic episode 9 of season 12, where, after becoming a guinea pig in experiments, Homer discovers that he wasn't an idiot. He just had a crayon stuck in his brain, which limited his intelligence. This is because when he was a child, Homer had the habit of sticking crayons up his nose, and one of them ended up in his brain. And as soon as the crayon is removed, Homer experiences a drastic increase in his IQ and becomes a true genius. He starts going to libraries, solves Rubik's Cubes like they're nothing, and even proves to Flanders that God doesn't exist. But because of his intelligence, Homer starts being hated by all his friends, as he constantly pointed out everyone else's ignorance. And so, Homer realizes that as his intelligence rose, his happiness fell. So, unable to take it anymore, he decides to take the coward's way out and simply puts the crayon back in his brain and becomes an idiot again. As you've seen, even with his intelligence limited by a crayon, when Homer wants to, he can be smart. He just needs a little push to overcome laziness and get his brain working. But which of these things do you think was the smartest thing Homer did? And if you happen to know of any other genius things Homer did, let me know in the comments, because I want to know. But if you liked the video, check out this other one here. Go ahead and watch it. It's really crazy.